G'day traders, welcome to a wrap up of Tuesday, February 21st. Remembering this is the first day of the trading week. Monday was a public holiday in the US. So on the dailies, still at the highs. We actually did get a pullback on this particular day, on this Tuesday, which is great to see. So hopefully we'll start seeing the markets continuing to pull back and start to get some range again. But here we are at the open. So we pushed down. So we started to see some of these sellers. So first off, when you're starting to see some sellers like this, you really want to see the trend start to continue. At this stage, there's not really enough going on there. I mean, if you look at the same area on the 1 minute chart, we basically only just pushed through one power point, so nothing really happened there yet. Then we swung around to the upside, yet the close was up around this area here, so the market started to head back up towards yesterday's close, and all of a sudden we're starting to see this trend of 6 points or more. So getting back on that buyer's side, and some of the buy opportunities will start to present itself now. But like it's been doing a lot lately, all of a sudden we get a bit of a trend and then it seems to just go sideways. There's no momentum. So in this sideways area here, you can see the same area on the 1 minute chart over here, very much sideways. So all of a sudden that takes away the momentum, and taking trades like 5 minute buys or fades or things like that become a little bit more 50-50 because there's no strength with the market. So we're still hanging around waiting for a bit of an opportunity here, very much sideways through lunch. Then it was this 1:30 period that we all of a sudden started to get the trend we wanted to see, and this is what we really want to see as far as the trade is concerned. One of the probably the better areas in hindsight of the day was at the end of this candle here. I'll show you the same area on the 1 minute chart. It's this power point here. So yes, it is quite early coming out of a sideways market, but all of a sudden the moving average and the predictive all pointing fairly well to the downside at this stage. Still, in my mind, normally we consider a little bit of a 50-50 area, but the fact that the other markets, especially the Russell and the Nasdaq, were definitely leading on the downside and really pushed down, and they'd actually started to head down and got quite to their lows at this same point where the ES was. So the fact that those small markets were leading the way really indicated to me that this was a time that the market really wanted to start to sell off. So I thought this area here, it was probably one of the better opportunities of the day, and it proved to work really quite well. So end of that 5 minute candle there was quite a good opportunity. We'll come back and show you what happened on the 1 minute chart as well in this area, but you can see we're pushing down now. We've got that 9-10 point trend which we really want to start to see. So this all of a sudden brings the sellers into play. We're pulling back from the highs where we can really start looking for some opportunities. At this area here, we're looking for a bit of a sharp pullback to take advantage of what we call a true fade or a 5 minute pullback, or even if it pulls back and then look on downside again, look some pressure on the downside, look for a 5 minute sell or something along those lines. In the end, it didn't really eventuate. It kind of plateaued off and just finished the day up a little bit. So from this 5 minute chart, definitely this area here at the beginning of the trend was the best of the opportunities, and it's a good reason why to really keep an eye on the other indices. And if you do watch the other indices, or learning to watch the other indices, you would have noticed that at this point here, there's a really high chance that the markets were going to sell off, and that's something that was indicated by the indices. So on the 1 minute chart, like I said, we had a bit of a push down, nothing really benchmark. Then we pushed up, even the push up. There's no real strength there. We've hit one power point. Not a lot of conviction. Like you really want to see, if you're going to get it on the buy side, you want to see it push up sharply through those highs or cash market highs, then pull back and then really head to the upside. That just didn't happen. We got sideways movement for quite a few hours there. It got quite boring. It was within like a 1-2 point range. Then this is where we started to sell off. So this was the area where it really indicated through the other markers that we're going to sell off, and then from there we pushed down through each power point. Also noticing how each power point in the market really decided to have a rest and then push down again. So it's just a bit of a evidence there how well these power points actually work, and quite true that the market does tend to work in 3.5 point increments, which is how the power points are designed. So once we got down through here, we'd hit 3 power points. We're definitely on the down, so that's what we want to see. It's around this area here the market started to pull back, looking for a power point up around this area here. You can see we've got some great resistance area with this area here that would really hold the buyers back, and then a great place to sell off from again. So this is the top area looking for the market to get to take something on the 5 minute chart. As far as a true fade, or even as far as a power point, this would be one of the best power point opportunities of the day. It didn't eventuate. The market in the end just dabbled sideways and then pushed up right at the end of the day. But look for these areas start to work as the market gains momentum and starts to pull back from the highs. We'll get some great areas, but that's the type of thing you should be looking for. Keeping in mind, you want to watch the other markets and look for these resistance areas I talked about before. So this area here, as far as the market pullback here, great area to sell from. Well, that's a wrap up for the day, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow.